roadmaps are not for your team. Roadmaps are for the whole organization, because guess what? You're the product manager, and everyone in the company, from sales to marketing, from development to customer success, need answers from you on the company's vision and where we are heading and everything that you already know about the product, but they don't. So when we talk about roadmaps, it's not just about, a sheet or a document or an artifact. It's about your way to boost productivity, to show everyone else in the company that you've got a vision, that you know where you're heading. And it's about actually showcasing your product leadership, because then you allow other product departments or other leaders from other departments to support you and to know how to work with you and ultimately to boost productivity. So this is a big deal, but unfortunately, as you probably know, it's really hard to come across a really good roadmap. And this is why we here at Product League decided to have this review, product roadmaps review. And I'm so excited because this is the first time that we have this session, review session. It's a new format where we're going to be as practical, as tactical, and as to the point as possible with you guys when it comes to being a good product manager. So I'm excited to have you here with us, and I can't wait for you to meet our mentors, 3 Product League mentors who are going to join me on this stage and to learn from them about good roadmaps. Now, if this is the first time we are meeting, nice to meet you. My name is Maria Cassis, and I'm the founder and general manager of Product League, where we help you to become the best product manager you can be. Product League is an international mentoring program for product managers by product managers in 30 countries around the globe, from Australia to Nigeria, from United Kingdom to Brazil, and basically everywhere and anywhere in between. And today, we're going to have a session, a review session, not just a session, a review session about roadmaps together. So 3 Product League mentors, 1 stage, and many questions from you, the audience, because we want to give you the value that you need. So please go ahead and use the chat wherever it is that you watch us right now, Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube, and let us know who you are, where you're from, and what are your questions when it comes to creating good, amazing, valuable roadmaps for your team and for your whole company. So, leaguers, I hope that you are ready, because it's roadmap review time. And now we're going to meet our speakers, our panelists for today. And I'm so excited to have them here with us today. Joining us live from Virginia, United States, say hello to Julia Caperton, Head of Product, Vice President at Pilots, and Product League Mentor. Julia is a strategic product and technology leader with over 15 years of experience building strong cultures while leading organizational evolutions. She has worked at startups and for large Fortune 500 companies throughout her career, helping transform their technology and product organization through developing empowered, high-performing teams. And I'm so excited to have you here with us.
I'm so excited too. It's great to be here.
It's wonderful to have you here with us, Julia. So you have experience as a product manager from startups and from corporations, which is going to be super relevant for our discussion today, because sometimes it differs the way we think and manage and create and design roadmaps when it comes to different sizes of companies.
Totally true. Yeah, I mean, it just really depends on your company. I'm excited to look at some reviews, and I was hesitant, I'll tell you the truth, when we said roadmaps, because I have a love-hate with roadmaps. So I'm excited to share my point of view on that, because roadmaps done well, super awesome. Crappy roadmaps, not so awesome. So I'm excited to talk through that with you all today.
I completely agree with you, and this is exactly why we're meeting here today, to make sure that everyone in the audience is going to create valuable and really truly great and inspiring product roadmaps tomorrow. Can't wait to learn from you, Julia. Thank you so much for joining us. And now we are going to meet Danielle. Are you ready? Let's do that. And from Limburg, Netherlands, let's welcome Daniel Talfout, brand CPO and head of product growth at SAS Group and Product League Mentor. With 15 years of experience in design, product management, software development, agile coaching, and strategy consulting, Daniel's heart lies in innovation projects and agile organizational development. He values pragmatism in all his work and dislikes things that don't add value to it. And he's here with us today.
Hey!
Hello,
So nice of you to
hello.
be part of my vacation. I love you having here.
Yeah, this is an action item for everyone in the audience. Double appreciate the fact that Daniel is here with us today because he's now on vacation with his family and still is here to share valuable insights about roadmaps with you guys. So, this is amazing.
Wouldn't miss it. Wouldn't miss it.
Thank you so much, Daniel, for joining us today. It's going to be a must watch for everyone who is dealing with the challenge of creating valuable roadmaps. And we have one more panelist that we need to introduce. We need to meet Lena. Are you ready? Let's do that. Please shout out a big hello to our woman in Berlin, Germany, Lena Kimka, product strategy consultant and product league mentor. Lena is a product executive with 12 years of experience. She built her career in the international environment, working in big corporations like Yandex and Axel Springer, and in fast-growing startups like Latana. She works as a consultant, helping founders to turn their vision into coherent product strategy and build actionable product plans. What's up? What's up?
Hello. I love this
Hello.
amazing introduction. Thank you.
So happy to have you here with us. You may recognize Lena from previous sessions that she had with us here at Product League. It may be a familiar face. We missed you here, I must say.
Me
It's
too.
wonderful.
So happy to be here. And as I wrote on my LinkedIn, I'm literally going to talk about my absolutely favorite topic. So I'm excited.
Yes. So happy to have you here with us. So happy to see that you're so excited about this topic because I think we are all very excited about this topic. As Julia said, it's either you win or you lose when it comes
100%.
to roadmaps. Yeah, and it's going to be very, very interesting. And for that reason, I'm going to call to the stage to have Daniel back here and Julia back here with us. And we are going to discuss roadmaps. Now, here is the thing. Okay, we already said at the beginning, okay, everyone who is even dealing with the challenge of roadmaps, this is a big challenge. So everyone who is trying, okay, we salute them for that, just for that, okay? And we're going to review things here today on this session. We're going to give feedback. We're going to give honest feedback. Okay, that's so true. So we're going to present principles. We're going to say what we would have done differently, stuff like that. And it's going to be very to the point in a way that may sound like we bring criticism to the table. And it's super important for me to say, before we even start, that this is not the case, okay? It's so easy for us to come here and say, this works, this doesn't. But everything that we do with much gratitude and appreciation to our fellow product managers around the globe, wherever it is that they work. And, sometimes even the most amazing roadmaps fail. And I want to share a small case of that with you guys. Here is the roadmap that Airbnb shared with their customers and their team just at the end of 2018. Okay, so by the closing of the time of this roadmap to 2019, COVID was here in our life and everything was different. And even the most amazing ideas that they had, it all went south. Let's call it this way. Okay, and things that they thought that maybe small features actually got to be a big deal of their plan as experiences and stuff like that. So we don't judge anyone here, but we do have opinions because we have experience, and we have very experienced 3 product league mentors here to share their experience with us today. And we start now, and we start with listing the practices that we think should stand behind every roadmap out there, what we called the 10 commandments of roadmaps. Okay, so we're going to follow these commandments semi-religiously, pun intended. Okay, we are going to talk about them also at the second part of the session when we are going to review actual roadmaps. Okay, and we start now with listing the thing that we think should stand behind every successful roadmap. And just to start a conversation and get things started, I will share with you one of the things that I think that they're must for every good roadmap out there. In its fewer words and more inspiration. Okay, sometimes I see roadmaps that are just long, that it's like almost a book. Okay, now this is not the time to use as many words as you can. Actually, it's the opposite. Use as fewer words as you can and share anything that may come as an inspiration. Share pictures and videos and the things that may convey the feeling that you want the customer or the user to feel at the end of using whatever it is that you present in the roadmap, and show your vision and everything that may spark inspiration within the organization or customers, either an external or an internal roadmap. Okay, so my tip, my commandment is fewer words, more inspiration. And Julia, how about we will start with you?
Yeah, absolutely.
One commitment from you. Yeah.
I feel like all of my commandments are kind of tied together, but I would say really focus on the outcomes you want to drive and not just the output. It's super easy to put a bunch of features on a list, but why are you building those features? And so what outcome do you believe you really will drive with developing a certain capability or new feature set?
Absolutely. This is a brilliant one. Yeah, thank you very much. Daniel.
Sure. I think the most important thing for me about roadmaps is it's not an artifact in itself that's very valuable. It's just the translation of this actual strategy and the vision of a company into something that users can understand and developers can act upon. So everything that is on the roadmap needs to have an absolutely clear link to the oversetting strategy. So we don't have a patchwork product of all good ideas, but none of them are coherently linked into one singular great experience.
So true. So true. That's fantastic. Thank you very much, Daniel. Lena.
I think for me, the most important commandment about the roadmaps is to know your audience, not just for a product, but also for your roadmap, and to keep a different level of utilization based on the stakeholder to whom you would like to present. Because ideally, you have a different format of a roadmap. Not the content. The content it's not like you have different roadmaps, but the different format for executives or for your manager, and a different, more detailed content for your team. So that's, I think, like really important.
Fantastic. Thank you very much, Lena. Julia, we are back with you.
I told you mine are all connected, but I think it's just making sure you're calling out the problem you're solving and not just what you're building. So this goes back to driving outcomes. And this also ties into communicating not only what you're developing, but also what you're discovering. So what are you learning about the customers that will help validate what you want to go build?
This is good. This is good. Thank you very much. Daniel, with you again.
I think this is also linked to what Julia already said, and it's very, very effective to have clearly defined success criteria for all your roadmap items. This ensures that you know that the stakeholders actually know what to expect from something. So it's not basically just a feature, but they know this will bump our conversions by 5%, etc. And on the other hand, you have realistic expectations, and if your product does not match these expectations, it's fine to argue to remove the feature again. Don't keep that weight around. So these success criteria mentioned beforehand will actually help you with it.
I love the fact you mentioned that. First, because this is such an important tip, commitment. Absolutely agree with it. But also because, one of the things that we do with our mentees when they start their participation in our program in Productly, we ask them to come up with a list of their SMART goals. And in a way, we can say that, this is their private, roadmap, right, for their career. And it's true, if you don't set a clear goal to it, KPI, something that you can actually track and understand where you're heading, in most cases you will get nowhere. So I love the fact that you mentioned it. Thank you very much, Daniel. Lena, back with you.
Don't plan too much ahead. I think that's the next principle for me, because we just discussed that the actual well-prepared item in the roadmap should have a lot of detail, the outcome and metrics. And if you're going to do it for things that you plan to develop next year, you're going to spend weeks on that. And most likely, by the time you actually have to do this, everything changes. So the idea is to have things that are sooner in your roadmap, well prepared, and things that are later just a bit more vague. Just to tell people that you're going to work on it, but with less details.
I love the fact that you mentioned it. I will even share with you guys that I once saw a 5-year roadmap for a company. Yeah, like a 5-year plan for a person. So the founders decided that they need a 5-year roadmap for the company, and I didn't even know what to say.
How did this go with pandemic?
You can only guess how it went, but yeah, we don't know where we're heading. We may have North Stars, right? We should have North Stars for years to come, right? Because we know what are the values of the organization, right? We know what we stand for. We know what experiences we want to offer, what products we want to offer, and stuff like that. But we can't really have a long-term roadmap. So thank you very much for this one, Lana. Julia, we are back with you, and I'm eager to know how everything that you said comes together.
I feel like, when we're talking, a lot of what Lana just said too is that, you can have uncertainty in your roadmap, but that's where we build in our practices around what do we want to learn about our customers' behaviors. And I will harp on discovery. Everything that we're building, we should validate before. And so that requires us to test up front. And so you can use your roadmap as a tool to articulate and bring people along to understand that the discovery practice is super important. So making sure that you're highlighting that and that feeds nicely into delivery. We know a lot of things we go off and discover, they're going to fail, but at least we're providing awareness to our stakeholders, to our teams, that these are things we believe might actually move the needle. And so I think that helps also aid in maybe getting a little bit more uncertainty the further you go out on your roadmap.
Yeah, I love that. And it's also worth mentioning that sometimes we'll discover that things don't go as expected even after
That's right.
we set the roadmap.
That's right. I mean, that if everything went perfectly, that would not be the real world, actually. Right?
Yes.
I do have to say we have a little guest appearance. Leonardo DiCaprio has decided to come on screen with this. So say hi to Leo. Those in Richmond.
Hello, Leo.
Sorry.
What a beauty. What a beauty. Thank you very much, Julia and Daniel.
Sure. So one of the not a command, but rather a fact around roadmaps is that no matter how many disclaimers you put up, 40 pages your disclaimer, that this is just an initial plan and this may change in the future, be advised, and a roadmap will always be treated as a commitment. So that's one of the reasons why it's also always better to focus on the problem and the actual outcome and leave the solution to something in the future. But if you are in a situation where you really, really need to communicate the solution inside of your roadmap, be very, very descriptive. And if you have the chance, please use a prototype. Make this as tangible as possible so that your stakeholders, internal, external, can actually experience what you're trying to build. Because quite frankly, if we put up something like product analytics, that's something that can be achieved in one day or in 1 year. And I can talk this into the most beautiful solution you have ever seen, or I can really talk this down to, we don't really need that. So it doesn't really convey value. Make it as tangible as possible if you are talking about solutions.
Absolutely. Loving it. Thank you very much, Dania. And Lana, again.
I think the last thing for me is also really practical. Just don't forget to add infrastructural scaling work to the roadmap as well, because I think it's really easy to get excited about all these inspiring features that you add. But then, the problem that you can find yourself not be able to implement those features, or being just like covered with customers, and you're not be able to even serve those customers because you didn't do the proper work for scaling and infrastructure. So ideally, when you're creating the roadmap, it's also time to talk to your development team and share this amazing plans and future with them, so they can tell you in advance that they need half a year to move to another infrastructure or a new database, so you have it in your roadmap as well.
Don't ever apologize for being practical, because this is what we get it here for, right? It's going to be as practical as possible. It's review time. Nothing on the internet is going to be more practical, to the point, and valuable than this session. This is what we get it here for. So thank you very much, Lena. And okay, so these were the 10 commandments of product roadmaps. We set the ground. We talk about the principles, right? Everyone in the audience understand what is it that we have in mind when we are discussing good, valuable, inspiring, actionable roadmaps. But now we are going to look at actual roadmaps and to discuss that. So we start with no other than Slack. Okay, this is going to be very interesting. Slack, for everyone in the audience who may not, if there is someone like that in the audience, not know the app, Slack is a messaging program designed specifically for the office. Okay, so probably 90% of our audience is using this software on their day-to-day at the office. And we are now looking at their roadmap. I'm going to zoom in a little bit, okay, so we can actually see. And we see that they broke it down into 5 columns. We have about this roadmap, so some, informative section, near-term, mid-term, long-term, and released, okay? And this is actual roadmap. So I'm eager to learn from you, our dear mentors, Product League mentors. What do you think about Slack? What do you think about their roadmap? Who wants to jump right in?
I would just quickly say that I really like that. They have this near term, mid-term, long-term. That's a good start. Mm-hmm. But what is missing is what this actually means, because I think for different people it means different things. So at least to add near term, is it a month, or it's a quarter, or it's a year? Just a small section would definitely help me to understand better what they plan to do.
Yeah, because short. Yeah, near term may be next month, and near term may be this quarter or this year. Yeah, we really don't know. This is a great point, Lana. Thank you very much, Daniel.
So let me chime in here, because actually I think that they don't give a specific time frame is kind of the thing that I like most about this roadmap.
Ooh, it's getting interesting. I love that.
So it takes away the commitment. So nobody will call you it's been a month, why isn't this implemented? So people will treat this as a commitment if it's in the 1 month column of the roadmap. But it's totally fine if you release it in 2 months or 3 months. And of course, everybody will have a different kind of idea what's near term, what's mid-term, what's long term. But if something in the mid-term column now takes 6 months, nobody would complain. If it takes 1 year, nobody would complain, because they know, well, it's been midterm. Perhaps they just focusing on a bigger horizon with midterm than I personally am. But it conveys that long term, I won't see this probably myself in the future. This might take a few years. This is where the product is headed. It's conveying strategy and direction, but it's not for, I can use this in product decisions. Near term is something that I can plan with. I can say, well, this is coming for my team. I'm thinking about a different solution, but perhaps it's good for staying with Slack because these near-term things there are for me. And midterm is kind of anything in between. So this might be coming, but I won't hold my breath for this. That's something that I really like about this roadmap, conveying value without being too specific.
This is interesting, and I'm going to change you. I'm going to challenge you a little bit here, Daniel, Elena, and Julia. Please jump right in because I'm eager.
I'll let you
I'm eager to learn from you. Yeah, that's good. Now, before Julia, we're going to learn from you what you think about this Slack roadmap. I want to challenge you a little bit, okay? Because we see two churches here, okay? Two ways of thinking about the time definition of a roadmap. What do you say for which organizations it's actually preferred to stick with, measurable, clear time band, okay? And in what cases, for what kind of organizations, let's talk about size and culture and startup versus corporations and stuff like that, in which cases we can actually go with one like Slack did here, okay? Because I think it really differs from one organization and one culture to another. Is this really helpful for the company or not? What do you say?
I would say also for me, it's not even not even the type of organization, but I think we're coming also from the different stakeholder perspective. That's what I was talking in the beginning, because I'm looking at this as internal stakeholder, as I would be like a kind of product for Slack, or maybe a CEO of Slack. I even sometimes imagine myself, and then I would like to at least understand like what my team is planned to be and what they're up to. And I think Daniel refers to the external stakeholder, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I think for me with this roadmap, and you're asking about organizations and the different time frames, I would say for anybody that's trying to build a solid roadmap, I think sticking with your company's quarters is always helpful. And that's kind of a loose way to start your road mapping. But a key component of being a great product manager is also collaborating with needed partners. So I want to stick to the 10 commandments here. I think this lacks, why are we doing what we're doing? One of the things I like is that they've tagged things with user experience, or maybe I think it's infrastructure or something along those lines, like the purple and blue mean different things. Yeah. But it doesn't really call out the opportunity space that they're going after. So I think that's one thing that's missing. And then also to your point about timing, we need to highlight when we have validated something, when is it going to go live? Because you have, at many companies, you have operations, you have marketing that you need support from. And so I think there is a moment in time when you have to kind of declare this is when we believe this viable product is going to launch. And so it's a delicate dance for product managers, because you have to really think through communicating what you're learning, validating that, and then making some commitments. And I think, getting in that quarter routine will also help you just sort of stick to some commitments for folks too. And it allows you to come up for air.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with you. And you know what, Daniel, it's really interesting that you come with a point of view of, this actually suits an external roadmap, because I'm challenging you. Again, this is my role here. This is what I do as the hostess. But I don't know how would I react as the customer, as a user, knowing that I'm waiting for a feature and they say near term. And as we know, for users and customers, near term, it means that it's ready for them next Monday, right? And then it's not ready. So what do you think about that?
The thing is, I've seen this to the perspective of external roadmap, like it is here. So I think for an internal roadmap, this is way too vague, not only from the deadline perspective, but also from the actual information that's inside these items and inside these lists. So it is an external roadmap. I'd say you always have to think about what's the goal here, because you don't have to have an external roadmap and share an external roadmap with your users. It's totally optional, and you could argue that a good product doesn't need a roadmap. It's like the net promoter score. If a company 100% focuses around the being customer centric and getting satisfaction to customers, they don't have to measure it. It's only companies to say, well, we're doing kind of 40%, we want to go to 45%, but that's then enough. That's not effort. Those companies use the MPS, and I feel it's the same for the external roadmaps. If you're just known as a company to push out user-centric things again and again and create value for the users and be super driven by the actual value you provide for their job to be done, then you don't need a roadmap. They will just trust you to do the right thing. And your current product needs to convince them, not your future product you will eventually build. So great companies often don't need an external roadmap. But if you have one, ask yourself, what do you want to do with this? Is this about communicating with your users? Is this about getting feedback? Is this about investor relationship management? So these might be completely different roadmaps based on what you're trying to achieve with this, but it's just a vehicle. By no means you have to have an external roadmap to show your users.
Yeah, it's funny because it goes back to one of the commandments that you mentioned, having very clear goals, right? You need to know what is the reason that you create this roadmap. What do you try to achieve with that? Super interesting. We got some comments from the audience, so let's see what they have to share with us. We have Chris saying timelines are needed if you can harm people. Okay, this is a very interesting comment here, and it's very practical, right? Whenever it comes to something when we can actually, cause something that is bigger than just delay in release. This is where timelines become a big deal. Very important. We have Mikkel said this will not work in B2B environment. When you roll something out, especially for businesses, you need to pin releases to the exact date. This is super interesting. And Ross says, I believe that. Yes, yeah. Go back. Let's go. I'm here with you.
Just to chime in here, it's not about B2B. It's more about being on premise so that they can plan their internal releases and their staging teams and so on. If you're in a software as a service product, this can absolutely work for B2B. There's absolutely no reason to have an external commitment or deadline or roadmap if you're in B2B. So don't confuse B2B with a different deployment model here. There's not a difference between B2C and B2B in that case. But yeah, for sure. Right as the thing with bringing people with the space shuttle. That's actually the example that I actually put on my teams. I said, guys, don't over-engineer this. We're not bringing people to the moon. But by all means, if you are bringing people to the moon, do something different than I tell you, right?
Yeah, then listen to Chris. I love that. Thank you very much.
But I would like to add, this B2B is like really...
Yeah. Go ahead, guys.
I love it.
No, because I would actually agree here with Mikhail in a way that, because we're like arguing about to have exact days, to not have exact days, to have external roadmap or not, for B2B products or for products that are done for other businesses, it's more relevant to have external roadmaps and to have at least like some clarity on the dates, because usually in B2B environment, other companies are making decisions about their business based on this data. It also depends on the type of a product, on like many things.
Yeah, either customers or partners. Yeah.
Also, I'll say hi to Michael since he's on my team. Hi, Michael. Good call out.
Very good, very good. I love the discussion, and we're continuing with that, seeing what Roy has to share. I believe that some stakeholders will reject the near, mid, long terms and would like to get actual dates and commitments from us. So we see that there are different ways to look at that, right? There is no one formula, but absolutely, first of all, understand whether you're discussing an external or internal roadmap. Okay, this is where it starts, and then truly understand if you have other stakeholders, Lana, as you mentioned, okay, partners, customers that are, somewhat waiting for you, sitting somewhere in their offices, wherever it is in the world, waiting for you to release something, and then break the terms down into different kinds of companies, okay, and truly understand what is the best solution for you. I love our discussion, guys. And what do you say? Are we ready to move on to another?
Yes, I just think as you pull that
yes,
up,
of course.
as we talk about dates, like I think Daniel said it, you just need to have high confidence that you're able to meet those dates, right? You should have exhausted all of your testing, all of your partnerships before you start to put a date out there. I'm not saying that you don't need to put dates out there, but
yeah,
you need to have high confidence, because as soon as it ends up on a roadmap, it's there.
It's out there.
It's going to live there, and somebody's going to pull a version of that roadmap, even if you push the date out by 2 sprints. So I think just make sure you're really confident in your dates and you've worked with your partners on those dates.
And if I may say, this rule belongs to everything that we as product managers do, right? This is so true, Julia, right? We have to make sure that we know what we're talking about. We have to validate our ideas with different departments. And it's not just about our team, it's about the whole organization, and making sure that, the market is ready, the company is ready, the organization is in the right mode and mood, for everything. So I love this one. Thank you very much. And we are continuing with another roadmap. This time it comes from Subnautica. It's an open world survival action adventure video game. Yeah, it's a cool one. And I wonder what you guys have to share about it. I'm going to increase the size here a little bit, okay, and zoom in so you can see a little bit more. Okay. I don't know. I am, to me, it feels like project management. Guys, this is my review, let's go, of this roadmap, because to me it feels a little bit like project management. I don't see much of like vision, explanation or presentation in this roadmap. I don't really understand where they're heading to. It's it's a little sad to me, if I may. So
yeah, I feel like you
wonder.
just have to have insider knowledge on this one. Like, it feels much more like a team board. I was trying to spend some time with it, and I think it also feels maybe a slightly siloed based on the way they have things tags. I can't tell if the tags are based on like the stage they're in or the team that's doing the work. But if you zoom in on some of the tags, I think you'll see it's like engineering, art, etc.
It's an open source. It's an open source system, and so it's actually the team Kanban board used to.
That's what I was thinking.
Used to fuel the development team and the whole development community. So I wouldn't call this a regular roadmap either.
Right.
But there are more and more companies these days that rely on open source, right? And on the development of, the community, rather the team efforts. So I do think it's very relevant for our discussion. And I wonder if there is a way to balance that, on one hand, to provide some vision, on the other hand, just, to bring something that is more inspiring than a project management tool or a log, if we will call it this way. And I also wonder if, everyone understands that. So it's true, it's for the community, but there are so many terms there and things there that I wonder if everyone from that community of developers can actually understand what is it about. And I know there are some terms here that have to do with the actual game, okay? And there are things here that are more technical, and maybe this is why it's, different language to me.
I think there's a lot to learn for a backlog situation, because this is a really shitty backlog. to be honest. I wouldn't run a development team with this. It's not a roadmap, so we can learn a lot for road mapping from this. But there's quite a lot in here that I would criticize for an actual team boards, because I think this is really weird, to be honest.
Yeah. So we have a LinkedIn user here saying this Subnautica is total product management internal stuff, no value for outsiders or external stakeholders. Okay. We also have Mikael from your team. Again, Julia said, yeah, this is just backlog. Completely agree with you. And Roy says this is not a roadmap. Okay. Definitely a team board. But you know, it's interesting because even for a team board, I don't think this one is inspiring enough. I don't know. I just don't like it.
I think like for me, like one thing that I'm really missing here is to maybe group this endless list of to-do in some themes, to give at least some structure, to give at least some direction that maybe now we're working on, I have no idea what they're doing there, but like maybe some changes and fixes in the core of the system. And now we're working on like new levels. Now we are changing the way characters interact, to give a bit more themes, maybe add at least another tags to, because I mean, if it feels like it's a team board where the team is the entire community, that's why it's public, but to at least focus the community a bit, because right now it feels like they're randomly doing some stuff, and that's what usually companies call going in different directions, going all around. Just feels like it's like randomly improving. But to give some themes, maybe allows to focus those contributors on specific areas, and then you can increase one area, another area, third area, a bit more holistically rather than just like randomly. That would be
absolutely. And it's also worth mentioning that, especially when we're talking about resources as community of developers, okay, they have to know what the vision is, because this is our way to make them contribute. Right?
In the right way.
If it looks like a backlog to them, this is not something that makes you to stay up all night and, you know, just contribute to the community and build the game. So I think this is actually where vision is as important, at least as important, as when we're talking about the team. Yeah, this is really interesting. And we have Adar says, on both examples, I'm missing the organization main goals and high-level directions.
Yeah, I agree with this. Like, I think all of these roadmaps lack that. We don't have visibility into those high-level goals. And I think there's a way to, on your roadmap, tag things with like, okay, this supports profitability potentially, or whatever those big goals are, or this supports omni-channel, so that you can start to communicate with the stakeholders, not only the KPIs, but maybe the bigger company objectives. So I would say tactically, as you think about your roadmap, if you can tag to the company goals, that's going to help you with conversations with your stakeholders. Why are you doing what you're doing? This supports this larger company goal. And so I think, Adam, you called it out exactly. We don't have that visibility, and that's definitely missing. But the roadmap is just a subcomponent of all of those things we keep mentioning, like the vision, the mission, the OKRs. If you use OKR framework, like the roadmap and the OKRs need to go together. And sometimes you might use OKRs instead of a roadmap. Like, it just depends on your company.
Absolutely agree with you. Thank you very much, Adar, for your comment, and Julia for your reply. And now we are continuing with GitHub, the code hosting platform for version control and collaboration. And I just love the fact that they are eating their dog food here, because they are using GitHub, their own product, for showcasing their roadmap, which I think this is just awesome. But you know, it's interesting, because at the same time, I wonder if this is user friendly enough for people that are not developers. What do you say, guys?
I really like how here actually they have the columns which they kind of in a way commit, right, to some dates, and then the last column they have, if you scroll right, there is a future. So it's similar to this now, then, and later, but they actually like don't try to trick you into this is a midterm, this is a long term, but you figure out what it actually means. They just say clearly, this is committed, or like this is planned for a specific day, quarters, I think they plan, right?
Yeah.
And the rest is future. I really like this.
Yeah. And you know, it's...
Go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead, Julia.
No, I was going to say, I'm big on quarters, and any of my team that's on knows I like communicating in quarters. So I think to your question about is this the right tool for communicating with stakeholders? I think that's what you're asking. I think if you tag it the right way and you word what you're releasing the right way, it could be. You just have to make sure your stakeholders or your teams are comfortable with this. Like, it's just getting in that habit. And so sharing it often and making sure that you're getting feedback on, hey, when I share this item with you, we're going to release, does it make sense? Do you know what value it's driving? Do you understand what it means? And so since this is externally facing, I think they don't have a ton of details, but internally, I think you could build this out however you wanted to.
Interesting. Daniel?
Yeah, I'm actually not sure if this is a typical roadmap or so like the first columns, they're actually release notes. So like they're starting in Q4 21. So the first 3 columns are already past us with those are the most items. July to September in Q3 is already getting to the end. And if we look a bit more ahead, like into Q1 2023, there are exactly 3 items.
Yes.
So they're not planning that far ahead, and that is good. But we don't know actually anything about their development and release cycle. So it might be that those are all the things they are already developed, but they're just not scheduled for release, or they're in beta testing or whatever. So this actually might not be a roadmap at all, aside from the future column. But the thing about releasing to the public, and perhaps they just put things on there once they finish developing, or at least the 80-90% of their stuff. So again, this might have a completely different meaning for why they're using this roadmap. Perhaps they're not about getting feedback anymore, because those things are set in stone. They're developed. They're just scheduled for release. It feels a bit that way because we got so much things in the future, so much things in the past, and very few things that are currently on the roadmap. It kind of give me this vibe of more scheduled releases.
Interesting. Actually, the fact that it sparks this question, means that we need some clarifications here, that things are not clear. And this is good. This is actually really, really good. And let's see what we've got to say about the last roadmap that we are going to discuss today. But before we'll do that, I want to remind everyone in the audience that the guys here, these 3 magnificent Product League mentors, want to answer your questions. And we're going to have an open Q&A in just a few. So this is your time to submit your question in the chat and let us know what is it on your mind and heart when it comes to roadmaps. Great and valuable and inspiring roadmaps. And also, I have something to ask you, a request from everyone in the audience. Please like this video and subscribe to us if you watch us on YouTube, or follow our page if you watch us on LinkedIn or Facebook, and share it with your colleagues, because this is valuable content and we want to spread it with the product community. So thank you very much, everyone, for hitting the like button and subscribe buttons right now. Thank you very much. And now it's Trello time. So this is Trello, okay? And I have to say that to me, this one feels like a feature factory. I don't know if I'm the only one who feels like that. And it's really colorful and it's really nice to the eye, but so many features. What do you say, guys?
Yeah, I mean, it's beautiful, but overwhelming for me. So
Yeah.
I think, to be quite frank, I think it's great if they've gone and they validated everything that they want to go build, but that was my initial reaction too. And I think one thing, I know this doesn't necessarily relate to this board, but since we are looking at external or externally facing roadmaps, I think one thing we haven't talked about is these roadmaps, like they do have to get translated into the team's day to day. And so that's the one thing that I feel like is a little bit missing here, is that you can build an awesome roadmap, but then articulating that roadmap to your teams is so critical. And ultimately, I think it needs to live, if it can, in the same tool, so that you are, you have your strategy, you have your roadmap, and then that gets down to the team boards. And like a lot of these, I don't think they've given us that transparency.
Yeah, completely agree. I love this one, Julia. Daniel?
Yeah, can only say the same thing. So it's I think these are nice to look at, but quite overwhelming. And all of them were very focused on the external stakeholders. So none of them would be a good example for some internal things. Beside the GitHub thing, we didn't get into the details, but once you open one of the issues in GitHub, they got quite a nice structure, very problem focused and what to expect. So the items are actually written quite nicely. Not so much on the Trello thing here. So that's an perfect example here. Custom fields version 2. I really love these items named version 2. Every team has them. It's the onboarding NG next generation. It's the user flow versus version 2. But who the hell knows what a version 2 is? They probably don't even know version 1. So is this like the next big thing, like moving from iPhone to an iPad or releasing something completely new? Or is this like, hey, now custom fields version 2, now we do have input fields that can only take a number. So we don't know. And that's the thing that I talked about in the commandment. So if you're going the feature road, if you're going to display some solutions, then really take the effort and make them more tangible and really tell people what they can expect from the solution. If you can't do this right now because you don't know yet what version 2 is, then be honest and talk about the problem you're trying to solve, and be honest that you don't have a solution yet.
Love it. Thank you very much. And Lena?
Well, I think like I can just agree with what Julia and Daniel already said. And I would be really interested to see how, because this is, again, this is a really external roadmap, and probably doesn't represent everything that the team is doing. There's probably much more, like some items, as I said, maybe related to infrastructure that they had to do to release this. So I think like actually this is not even a good format, because I was preaching that you need to know your stakeholder and have like different roadmaps for different audience. Ideally, if you have it all in the same tool, right? So you don't need to recreate, okay, this is the roadmap for external, as for internal. Ideally, that you at least have like one tool where you can select different level of granularity, maybe show all the details, but then with themes or with some labels, demonstrate like a high level view. But in this case, now you cannot even use it then to expand to more like an internal view. So, but I think like they also, now they moved to Atlassian in the really beginning. They say that their roadmap moved, so it became a bit better.
Well, I can tell you that the audience agrees with you here, because Elena is here saying it looks overwhelming, to be honest. Yeah, we agree indeed. And I have to share with you guys, we got amazing questions from the audience. Okay, we've got many questions, but we don't have much time. So what we're going to do here, we're going to challenge you a little bit, okay? And we're just going to move from one question to another. We're going to do it quick, sharp, and to the point, as we like to do things here. Are you ready?
Ready.
Yes, ready. Okay, so we're starting with Tomer asking, how do you make sure that the balance between where we want to get and what we want to solve versus what we can share and promise to our customers is kept? Because as you mentioned, it can change. Who wants to jump right in and, give Tomer the answer he needs?
Oh my goodness. I think that this is a great question that is hard to answer in a very short amount of time. So the balance between like where we want to get and what we want to solve versus what we promise, like you should always be starting with where you want to get and what you want to solve before you make promises. I think that would be the answer to my question there is make sure you're validating things before you're making commitments. And there are scenarios. But you have stakeholders and they have ideas and they want to get those ideas released. And so how do you build that rapport and trust, which is a whole nother conversation, I think, about stakeholder management, but make sure you're testing up front before you promise anything to anybody.
Yeah, maybe promise things that are already closer to be done, like this.
Like we saw with the GitHub example, right, Daniel? When you mentioned that you think that some of the things that are mentioned on the roadmap are things that are actually in the making or almost ready. Very good. Thank you very much, guys. And we are moving to another question. It comes from Yaron asking, how much from your roadmap is driven by requests from potential customers versus innovation?
Let me take this one first.
Yes.
I think it's not a distinction between innovation and requests from potential customers. So I think it's always a bad practice just to put the highest requested thing on your roadmap and call it a day. So that's product management for lazy people. You don't want to do that. But it's one channel to get feedback that you need to put into your innovation process. So innovation is about discovering opportunities and understanding a problem and coming up with solutions for that the users are not aware of. Users will always propose their solution idea, but you don't want to implement that solution. You want to understand the problem and find an innovative way to solve that problem. So it's not an either-or question here, and it's not about what drives the roadmap. It should always be problem-focused and driven by your strategy, your goals, and then bringing creative problem-solving with your vision together. And potential customer requests just a great feedback you get from the market. Nothing more, nothing less.
Yeah, don't innovate for the sake of innovation. Use innovation to solve the customer's feedback and issues and what they come up with is not as requests, but as challenges for them. I love this one. Thank you very much, Daniel. And we're continuing with Yoni asking, which formula do you use for prioritizing features and initiatives?
Ooh.
Yeah.
I mean, this is a tricky one because you're going to get pushed. Lena, I don't know if you have a good response, but I would say it depends on your company. And really, I think when you're doing testing, you've got to show that you can move an important KPI. And that's how you prioritize what you're working on.
Yeah, I think like in the end, for me, it's quite often goes to like a standard prioritization of impact and effort, but then like there's a lot of details like what do you consider impact, because like how you evaluate impact, this effort, that's usually easier. And like in this standard formula of impact effort, I would always add some multipliers, like for example, strategic initiative or something that like for quality, for example, if the product really depends on like the high quality standards, something that can boost strategic topics. Otherwise, you can always focus just on like short-term impact features and miss the opportunity when some other competitors go over you. So yeah, if we talk about formula, I think this one is the best one, but then there's a lot of details, how like what you input in that formula.
Yeah, many details, especially when we're talking about the difference between a corporation or a company with high budgets and much funding and small startups. Okay, because sometimes when you're a startup, you may find that you focus on the one thing that will move the needle and it's more important for your KPI, but then everything at the company is focused on just one thing, on one initiative, just one thing is prioritized. And this is also somewhat of a danger for a company, right? So there are so many details to it. I don't think that we can come up with a formula, but it's more about the way of thinking about, the different parts of this equation. Let's call it this way.
It's
so it's not
a
about a
vehicle
formula.
it's a vehicle for conversation. So the different parts of the formulas and like a RISE score, I score, and whatnot, they provide a good starting point to spark this conversation. But people that hide behind a formula and make this very elaborate with multipliers and 7 different parameters and just get, well, this feature got a 98 and this one got a 97, so we're going to build the 98 one. This is always the wrong way. So if you're actually just relying on some formula to tell you what to build in your product, then we got these 7 parameters from 1 to 5, this will always fail. It's not a good practice. So if you don't have a good product sense, these formulas won't help you. It's only a vehicle to talk with other people and to think this thing through. But there isn't this one formula. There are like 20 conversation starters you can use to think about your product initiatives. And I wouldn't, regardless of the company size or culture, I wouldn't just pick one and call it a day for this is how we do things for product in our company. This does not work. So I'm not a big fan of formulas.
Yeah, and it's not just about product sense, although I completely agree with you. It's also about empathy to the customers and really knowing them. And then you kind of like have this feeling, this sense, maybe this is what you are relating to, referring to, of like, what is the thing that we need to invest our resources in right now. Thank you very much, Daniel. And Chris is asking, favorite roadmap tools?
I mean, anything that I can. No, we use
Google spreadsheets.
Yeah, I mean, we use
anything.
Miro.
This is the right answer, Julia. Anything.
Miro, Figma, but all of that needs to get into your workflow tool. So I know some folks have been able to manipulate Jira. We use Azure DevOps, so we've been able to get roadmaps into Azure DevOps. It's, not the prettiest view, but those are definitely tools to use.
Absolutely. I love this one. And our last question for this session comes from Daniel asking, do you believe in stakeholders voting per feature on the roadmap? And this is why I chose this one, because this is such a juicy one. And I love the reaction that came out of you, Julia and Daniel, Lena. So bring it on and tell us, what do you really think about stakeholders voting per features?
Just don't
we
do
need
that.
We need to define voting here and what a stakeholder is. So coming up to the board members and have them vote on features and put the highest voted thing on the roadmap, absolutely not. No way. Don't do that. If you mean having an open roadmap, a public roadmap, and letting users as the stakeholders vote on things to get just the sentiment out of a user base for what they find important, totally fine. That's actually a great idea to do if you want to have this feedback
degree
from the market.
Yeah,
you don't want to act
degree
upon it and just take it for granted.
Yes.
But it is one of the inputs you can have.
Yeah, absolutely. I've got a feeling that Daniel is asking more about, stakeholders from the company. And this is, the reason why we all had this face on us, talking about that. And this is true because you're the product manager. You should know your product, you should know your customers, you should know your users, you should know the vision. And it's not just about, C-level coming and deciding what to do with the company. I had the best time reviewing roadmaps with you. How was it for you guys?
So fun.
Awesome. Been a great time.
I enjoyed so much. Thank you, 3 of you, Lena, Julia, and Daniel, for sharing your know-how, your experience, your tips and tricks, and 10 commandments with our audience here. Thank you very much for that. From Limburg, the Netherlands, Daniel Talfot, brand CPO and head of product growth at SaaS Group, and Product League Mentor. From Berlin, Germany, Lena Kimka, Product Strategy Consultant and Product League Mentor. From Virginia, United States, Julia Caperton, Head of Product Vice President at Colot and Product League Mentor. I am Moriakis. These magnificent, amazing, dedicated Product League mentors. This is Product League. Our mentors, this is Product League. We can't wait to support you in becoming the best product manager you can be. Don't forget to join us for our next review session. And until then, hit the like button, subscribe, and watch the dozens of other videos about product management that we have on our channel. And until then, go lick it up. And thank you again, our dear mentors here, for sharing your know-how with us. Much, much appreciated. Bye-bye, everyone.